I mean, I guess it is kind of my fault here. It is your driver, Mike. It's my channel, and I should have explained this better because I had people saying like, hey, dude, are you just straight up reposting someone's content? This is Phil out of the South Dallas, Texas marketplace, a gig worker like you and I with respectively hundreds of assignments, DoorDash deliveries, and more. And he's our first ever official, keyword also, paid team contributor. So what this is, the premise of the channel here, it's always been me. I've been doing gig work since 2015. Here on YouTube, talking about this stuff since 2017. I always say we're a team because we are. I'm one person in one marketplace in Pittsburgh. Now, trust me, I read comments and I appreciate, I've had people acknowledge that they like that I actually read comments because apparently like some creators don't even read comments. But anyway, I thought it would be impactful to like take someone, a fellow gig worker in a completely different marketplace with a different, respectively different level of experience and bring them on and they can communicate their own perspective this time on our first shift series. And really just give me your feedback. If you like content like this, if you like having now a brand new team contributor with Phil, and I think this is great because we get that perspective, it gets him some income as well. But keep in mind, none of the other content is changing. Like I'll still do first shift myself, our commentary series. I'll do driving shifts. I'll do tutorials. I'll do all the other stuff that's not changing. So this is official. This is approved here, a partnership with myself and Phil of Dasher Phil. If you want to check out his channel independently here, what he has to say on our first shift series.
When I think about package delivery, I usually think about Amazon Flex or Roadie, but in today's video, we're going to be looking at Veho. But first, let me introduce myself. I'm Phil from Dasher Phil on the Driver Mike channel as a team contributor, and we're going to be diving into a first shift video from Package Pursuits, and he is really going to be giving a lot of good insight and tips and tricks and thoughts, but we're also going to analyze, would this even be right for me? So let's get started.
Now, when it comes to the loading process, when you get to the warehouse, it is pretty frustrating because you do mandatory have to scan each of the packages that you have, whether you have 70 packages or let's say even 10 packages. And that means I would recommend you guys to bring either a pen or a marker with you. In this route that you're seeing me today, I had 66 stops, but 70 packages. Veho has routes that start at 30 minutes long and can go up to 6.5.
Oh, okay. Let's look at some of these routes here. So one of the first things I noticed, looks like of course, it's in the St. Louis market, and it shows like a 130, 189. The shift starts at 10:30. Okay. And it says 4 to 5.5 hours for this shift right up top. Is that a good offer? So what's our focus going to be? $20, $25, $30 an hour? Well, depending on where you're at in your market, things can actually vary. But let's just say for grins and giggles, $25 an hour. Would this still work for let's just round it down to 5 hours, which would be over $37 an hour. So that sounds like a pretty good shift right there. Even if you did the low end of $130, you're still at $25 an hour. All right, not too bad. But also I'm thinking about what all do you have to put into the factor? You also have to factor in the time that you have to get to the warehouse. Then you're going to have to actually wait there at the facility. Then when you get your products, then you're actually going to have to organize the packages out, which will definitely help you in the long run. But let's keep on going in the video.
Half hours long, just depending on what you decide to choose. Some of these routes can require a lot of cargo room, and it's totally depending on the location that you live. When I did a couple of these Veho routes in New Jersey, they were completely different than when I was doing them in Missouri. For the Veho warehouse in New Jersey.
So let's back up just a smidgen. Let's look at these New York routes. Oh, wow. So we're looking at $251 to $275, estimated time 5 to 6.5 hours. Wow. Even if we go to the 551 for 6 hours, we're looking at $41 an hour. But you also got to take into factor, we got different markets, different cost of living. It's a whole new different atmosphere. It really makes you think of all the possibilities of why in the world is there such a huge difference from the prices in St. Louis and New York, which we could be looking at possibly some different types of merchandise. We could be just looking at just the cost of living and people being paid higher. Because when I first think about this, like the cost of living, my first thought is going to be like, what, gas? Because gas is just outrageous in some places and lower in other places, such as you might be in California or somewhere like that, and it might be $4.50 or higher, but you here in Texas, it's like $2.50, $2.99 at the most. But that's just an example. But let's continue to move forward.
I'm in Missouri. For the Veho warehouse in New Jersey, they deal with a lot of bigger box companies like HelloFresh and Factor. Now, when you have even 20 to 30 stops like that of your route from those companies, you're going to be taking up a lot of the room. Those boxes are typically very bulky, which is why you'll see a lot of people using cargo vans, SUVs, and minivans at these warehouses. You should always be walking into these routes with knowing that you're going to need every single ounce of space in your car, especially if you're using a sedan or a small hatchback like me.
The space in a vehicle. Now, he actually has a Toyota Prius. I can't say it now. Prius. A Toyota Prius. That is really good on mileages. He is getting at least 40 miles a gallon. That's great. And that's what we got to be thinking about when we're setting ourselves up of doing package delivery or food delivery. Because I know when I'm thinking about when I did a Roadie XD order, I just wish I took my Kia, but I didn't on that day because I was so used to just taking just regular packages from like a Walmart or a Home Depot. So I was already in the Tahoe, which I call Big Baby. And one good thought is when you are taking some of these larger packages and right before you even set the order, it's good to actually know the measurements of the vehicle, because before I even started, I tested out, okay, how many inches do I have all the way inside? I have like 75 inches all the way. Then I had like 44 to 45 width. So not too shabby. And I actually have stretched those boundaries before, which was absolutely crazy. And I was so thankful I actually made it. But let's go ahead and let's continue on with the video.
Different ways of choosing routes. The night before, they'll drop what I call blind pick routes, which is routes they'll say from a start time of, let's say, 10 a.m. And you could get anywhere from, let's say, a 5-hour route to a 6.5-hour route, just depending on what they have available at that time at the warehouse. They will show you the general delivery area of where you're going when you pick that route or that block time, but the area is going to be very big, so you're not going to get a great idea of where you're going. Sometimes you'll be able to see the actual routes that you could take. These will show you the exact price you're taking them at, also the exact amount of hours the route is for, and the map above is going to be different because it's going to have like a heat map of where you're going to be delivering, so it's going to give you a better idea of where you're going for the route.
A heat route. Okay. Now, I haven't seen a route like this at all. So this would be my very first time seeing a heat route, because I know with Amazon, it's really going to show you where you're actually going to. And even with Roadie, I actually could tell where I'm actually going to, but this is actually like showing me like almost like a weather forecast in a way. It's like the green, the yellow, and the red. Then you just know that the red is going to be that's where most of your places, where most of your stops are going to be. But I'm just like, does it have to look like it's raining or about to storm on me or something? But what would you actually prefer? I'm just like, would you rather have a heat map, or would you actually rather see where you're actually going? Because for me, I'd rather see the actual drop-offs.
Saturated with drivers it is. As far as payouts, the payouts could look really good at first. $141 for a 5.5-hour route sounds good. $161 for a 6.5-hour route could be good. And sometimes even $200 plus when it comes to these peak times could be really, really good at first. But the catch is that you're going to be spending most of that block time doing the route. This is not like Amazon where it will take you half the time of the route time for you to finish. With Veho, I would think you're going to spend at least 80 to 90% of that route time still delivering, and that is not including your way home.
Now, it actually sounds like he knows what he's talking about because he's been in this game before. And that's what it actually takes. It takes experience of being out there. Because if you're not just using just experience, you can also watch videos like this so we can actually know and learn some tips and tricks and strategies just from like videos that we're watching right here, or Driver Mike channel, or Dasher Phil. But however, Every market is going to be different, but at least we'll be getting an idea of what to do and try to lessen that learning curve of knowing just the ins and outs and doing these gig apps. So we can actually know and actually focus on what is a good offer. Because as we know that we've actually been taught right here that a good point of focus is $1.75 to $2, or you can look at it making $20 or to $25 per hour, just depending on the market that you're in. So another really important thing is location. Location is really key. And there might be a possibility where we might have to travel just a little bit to get to a really good market, or maybe we should just stay where we're at and still make about the same amount of money.
But I don't recommend you grab just any route of these just because the payout might seem good at first. Just like with any app, I would recommend you wait for the pay to make sense for you. And to avoid...
Okay, he just dropped something right there. He actually talked about multi-apping, using actual different apps. You don't have to be just married just to one app, because you just have Veho every day and you're going to have probably some bad days. But you might see something on Amazon Flex. You might see something on DoorDash. You might see something on Uber Eats, which that would be multi-niching. Not just doing the package delivery, but you also have the food delivery as well. So it's good not to have all your eggs in one basket. And he also made a reference here of having like Veho as a filler app. That is excellent. You might say,
well, what's a filler app?
Well, a filler app means you're not just going to be always focusing on that one particular app, but you're just going to just fill it in within your shift when you see a good offer, such as that, what we talked about, $1.75 to $2 plus per mile. Let's keep going.
The blind picks as much as possible. For this route, though, I want to share that it took me 40 minutes to load up all these packages and to account for everything. I ended up having one package missing, and one of the packages I had was going to look very easy at first, but with the time that you're going to have to do for the route and also dealing with and compensating for the app constantly, it becomes very frustrating. And this is not all the time, by the way. It just is sometimes where the app just decides to not work, I want to say, where you're going to have to keep restarting it and trying to get it to work. And it's very frustrating because when you're at the customer's house, you're not wanting to sit out there for a minute at a time at the door, waiting for the camera to decide to take the picture.
Maybe not also a bad connection, but just trying to get the app to work can be like so super frustrating. Even the times where I know I had to type in the order number, oh my goodness. But we're going to have frustrating days. It's just a given. It's just about how are we going to handle those situations when we get there. So make sure you keep on staying encouraged and keep on pushing forward, because bad days are not always going to stay. If you mess up, it's okay. Use it as a learning experience, chalk it up, but keep on going. No one has to know the struggle that you actually went through. Just keep on going. Because I remember my early mistakes that I made, but I learned from them. There was days I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to quit. I got to go. Oh, no more. I'm done. But I didn't stay there. That was the main thing. I just went out to another day and another day. And that's what we got to do. Let's keep going.
Drove a total of 108 miles for this route in my 2009 Prius. My car has 230,000 miles on it. The Prius still has the original hybrid battery in it, so it gets 41 miles to the gallon. Where I live in Missouri, the average gas price is $2.87 a gallon. At 108 miles for this route, I would have used 2.6 gallons of gas for this route, which cost me $7.48 of fuel. Now, the payout for this 6-hour block was $208.80.
All right, let's hold on for a second. So he made $207.48. That's really good. Then he also talked about he drove for 108 miles in his Prius, which gets 41 miles a gallon. All right. And he talked about the gas in Missouri being $2.87. I know somebody be singing some praises for the people that's paying like over $4 right now. Now, with this 6-hour block that he did, and he made $208.80, which makes him making over $34 an hour. How do you think this shift went? I think it went pretty well, because it's definitely way over that $25 per hour, and he's in a pretty good market. It's not like he's in a market that's going to be like really expensive. So if you can really stack on the days like this, you can have and set yourself up for a really good week. So be sure and comment what you think of this route. Drop a like and share your thoughts.